Good morning to you all. Happy hump day. It's Wednesday, so we call that over the hump day or hump day. So happy hump day. In my announcement stream this morning, I mentioned a couple of things that I want to just make clear here. First of all, along with checking in on the assignments for the day, always check my where it's called stream, where I do a message to you guys, because there might be important information for the day in the stream. Secondly, I love hearing from you guys, so I love anytime I get to read your comments. But what I want us to do is make sure that we're organizing the comments where they should go. For example, a lot of people are commenting after they do like the math assignment or the reading assignment, and they're like, "I'm done," or whatever. We really need to save the comments that go along with certain assignments for comments about the assignment. So in those kinds of comment areas, I'd want to see like if you have a question or a problem, or if you want to say something about the assignment or something you had trouble with or that you felt really good about doing or something like that. It's like, so for each assignment, don't put comments where you're at, if you're done, that kind of thing. I really want only learning based comments or comments to me about the work. The other kinds of comments that you're so good at making and I want to hear can be attached to my morning announcement. You have the stream below where you can comment, and there's where you can like be yourself and say anything you want to say to the class, I guess. Um, or if I ask you in the assignment to comment below, then definitely use that area. Like in the read aloud, sometimes I'll say, "What do you think will happen?" Comment below. So in the read aloud areas, you can always comment on the book. Okay. If I tell you to comment as part of the assignment, then comment for that assignment. But in general, only put your comments where they belong. So, like, if you just want to like say hello and "I love you, Mrs. Richmond," blah 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 blah, that can go in any of the comment areas underneath the stream or the message. But for the assignments, it's really important for me to know if kids are having trouble. And sometimes I'll go in there and it's just you guys talking with each other. So just make sure you're putting it in the right spots. Um, Having said that, um, we're going to continue with James and the Giant Peach, and we are on chapter 12. And thank goodness for James. The creatures and the insects, it seem like they're all insects except for the spider. Because remember, an insect has 6 legs, spider has 8. But anywho, the creatures were much nicer than James first um, imagined, because besides being enormous, like enormous, um, they were very, very friendly. And luckily for him, when they said they were hungry, they were not meaning to eat him, which is good news. I also forgot to say something. I know earlier we mentioned that one of Roald Dahl's writer's craft techniques is to do like a sing-songy kind of rhyme and have his characters kind of communicate in that way. So that's one piece of writer's craft we've noticed in James and the Giant Peach already, just like it was in The Witches. Another thing I just want to remind you about is how Roald Dahl really likes to do that thing where he says one word and then he repeats like 5 or 6 or 7 different ways to say it. So, for example, I was noticing that yesterday and I did not mention it. When the insects were talking about how hungry they are. I'm hungry, famished, starving, positively famished. So also that's another thing we should be looking for is where Roald Dahl takes a word and then tells you like a bunch of different fancy schmancy ways to do it. So just keep your ears peeled for other bits of writer's craft that you recognize from Roald Dahl. Okay, so back to the read aloud. Chapter 12. Oh, sorry, one more thing. When we left off, the centipede said to James, "I need you to help me undo my boots because it takes hours." So that was something that was interesting too, that the insect is wearing boots. James decided that this was most certainly not a time to be disagreeable. So he crossed the room to where the centipede was sitting and he knelt down beside him. "Thank you so much," the centipede said. "You are very kind." "You have a lot of boots," James murmured. "I have a lot of legs," the centipede answered proudly. "A lot of feet. 100 to be exact. Okay, stop there. So if you think of the word centipede, there's the word cent in it. And one way to remember what cent means is if you think of century, that stands for 100 years. Or if you think about how many cents are in a dollar, 100. So the centipede's name, cent, means 100, and then ped does mean foot. So you would expect a centipede, based on its name, to have 100 feet. But this becomes an issue. Let's go on. 100 to be exact. There he goes again, the earthworm cried, speaking for the first time. He simply cannot stop telling lies about his legs. He doesn't have anything like 100 of them. He's only got 42. The trouble is that most people don't bother to count them. They just take his word. And anyway, there's nothing marvelous, centipede, about having a lot of legs. Oh, the earthworm might be feeling sensitive too, because how many legs does an earthworm have? Goose eggs. Nada. Poor fellow, the centipede said, whispering in James's ear. He's blind. He can't see how splendid I look. And that is true. Earthworms are blind. So that is not a lie. Earthworms are blind. That's just a fact of life. In my opinion, the earthworm said, the really marvelous thing is to have no legs at all and to be able to walk just the same. You call that walking? Cried the centipede. You're a slitherer. That's all you are. You just slither along. I glide, said the earthworm proudly. You are a slimy beast, answered the centipede. I am not a slimy beast, the earthworm said. I am a useful and much-loved creature. Ask any gardener you know. And as for you, I am a pest, the centipede announced, grinning broadly and looking around the room for approval. He is so proud of that, the ladybug said, smiling at James, though for the life of me I cannot understand why. I am the only pest in the room, cried the centipede, still grinning away. Unless you count the old green grasshopper over there, but he's long past it now. He's too old to be a pest anymore. The old green grasshopper turned his huge black eyes upon the centipede and gave him a withering look. Give me a withering look. Young fellow, he said, speaking in a deep, slow, scornful voice, I have never been a pest in my life. I am a musician. Hear, hear, said the ladybug. James, Centipede said, your name is James, isn't it? Yes. Well, James, have you ever in your life seen such a marvelous, colossal centipede as me? And colossal means huge. I certainly haven't, James answered. How on earth did you get to be like that? Very peculiar, the centipede said. Very, very peculiar indeed. Let me tell you what happened. I was messing about in the garden under the old peach tree, and suddenly a funny little green thing came wriggling past my nose. Bright green it was, and extraordinarily beautiful, and it looked like some kind of tiny stone or crystal. Oh, I know what that was, cried James. It happened to me too, said the ladybug. And me, Miss Spider said. Suddenly there were little green things everywhere. The soil was full of them. I actually swallowed one, the earthworm declared proudly. So did I, the ladybug said. I swallowed 3, the centipede cried. But who's telling this story anyway? Don't interrupt. It's too late to tell stories now, the old green grasshopper announced. It's time to go to sleep. I refuse to sleep in my boots, the centipede cried. How many more are there to come off, James? I think I've done about 20 so far, James told him. Then that leaves 80 to go, the centipede said. 22, not 80, shrieked the earthworm. He's lying again. The centipede roared with laughter. Stop pulling the earthworm's leg, the ladybug said. What does that mean if you're pulling someone's leg? Turn and talk to a fan, a lamp, a person, the rug, a couch, a chair, a pencil. What does it mean if someone's pulling your leg? If it were literal, it would mean that they were yanking on your leg. But we know it's not literal, it's figurative. So what does it mean? Press pause now. When you've discussed it, unpause. Mystery Diana. No. Mystery Witchman. Unpause. Okay. When someone's pulling your leg, it means they're teasing you. Like they're just trying to get a rise out of you and just joking around, teasing you. And so Ladybug is trying to help out Earthworm, saying, "Stop pulling the Earthworm's leg." Well, this sent Centipede into hysterics. "Pulling his leg?" he cried, wriggling with glee and pointing at the Earthworm. Which leg am I pulling? You tell me that. James decided that he rather liked the Centipede. He was obviously a rascal, but what a change it was to hear somebody laughing once in a while. He had never heard Aunt Sponge or Aunt Spiker laughing aloud in all the time he had been with them. "We really must get some sleep," the old green grasshopper said. "We've got a tough day ahead of us tomorrow. So would you be kind enough, Miss Spider, to make the beds?" Okay, and that's the end of chapter 12. So we've met some characters. It's too hard to really get, um, they call it getting a bead on someone. That means like getting to be able to describe them. Except for, okay, basically, the centipede's like a pain in the patootie. He's a pain in the butt. He's like trying to cause problems. He's stirring the pot. He's trying to like cause reactions. We can't tell if he's a liar or not yet. And not only is he a pest, he's a proud pest. Like he's like, yeah, I'm annoying and I mess around and I'm proud of it. So we can find some words to describe the centipede. Maybe troublemaker. Um, Maybe I would say obnoxious, kind of. And we're starting to learn about the earthworm. To me, the earthworm seems kind of a little bit whiny, complainy, maybe. Or maybe he's just sick of being teased. So I don't want to label the earthworm with a character trait yet because I think it's too soon. Um, Likewise, it's way too soon to label Miss Spider and the ladybug. All we can say about the old green grasshopper is, for sure, here's what I would say is that he is very calm. And I feel like I have evidence to back that up. I would describe the old green grasshopper so far as calm because when the centipede tried to get a rise out of him or tried to get him to react, he's like, "Yeah, well, the old green grasshopper used to be a pest, but he's way too old now." He could have gotten mad or reacted like the earthworm did, but he didn't. He's just gave him a kind of shot him a look and was like, "No, I've never been that way. I've not that way ever, blah, 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 blah." So he seems very calm. Um, and I guess that brings me back to the earthworm. So then maybe one thing we could say about the earthworm is that um, he's super sensitive because he's reacting to everything the centipede's saying. Everything. Okay, so we're going to